This is the story of Saint Thérèse of Lisieux, the saint of the little way. She never performed a public miracle. She never left her convent. She died at 24, unknown to the world. But today, she's a doctor of the Church and one of the most powerful saints in heaven. Thérèse Martin was born in 1873 to devout French parents, both canonized saints. Sensitive, passionate, and deeply spiritual, she desired only one thing from childhood: to love Jesus with all her heart, and she meant it. By age 15, she begged the Pope Leo XIII to let her enter the Carmelite convent. He was stunned, but she was unshakable. She entered, took the veil, and began what she called the little way, a hidden path of radical love, sacrifice, and humility. Thérèse wanted to be great, a saint, a missionary, a martyr. But illness and cloistered life kept her unseen. So she gave God everything, in the small things. She smiled when mocked. She stayed silent when insulted. She offered up suffering with joy. She said, "I will seek out a means of getting to heaven by a little way, very short and very straight. To pick up a pen for love can convert a soul. To the world, she was small. To heaven, she was a giant." She suffered from tuberculosis in her final years. Her nights were filled with pain, temptation, and even spiritual darkness, but she held fast. "I have never relied on myself. I have always relied solely on God." Before she died in 1897, she said, "I want to spend my heaven doing good on earth. After my death, I will let fall a shower of roses." And she kept her word. Miracles began, healings, conversions, spiritual awakenings. People all over the world testified to her intercession. Her autobiography, Story of a Soul, spread like wildfire. Millions have read it and wept. I can attest to its power personally. Reading her book changed my life. During World War I, French soldiers began reporting something strange. A young Carmelite nun in white would appear beside them in the trenches. She warned them of danger, guided them to safety, healed their wounds. They later recognized her in a photo. It was Thérèse. Before she ever entered Carmel, Thérèse set her eyes on a soul. A brutal murderer named Henry Prancini was sentenced to death. He showed no remorse, refused a priest. Everyone gave up on him, but Thérèse didn't. She offered rosaries, sacrifices, tears, all for his conversion. On the day of his execution, just before the blade fell, Prancini seized the crucifix and kissed it 3 times. Thérèse wept with joy. "This was my first child," she wrote. "Jesus had given me the soul I asked for. Even murderers couldn't escape her love." In 1925, she was canonized. In 1997, 100 years after her death, Pope John Paul II declared her a doctor of the Church. She joins Saint Augustine, Saint Thomas Aquinas, and she never wrote a single theological treatise. Her theology was love, and her little way works. Saint Thérèse is now one of the most beloved saints in history. Patroness of florists, foreign missions, loss of parents, priests, and the sick, she is an example for anyone who feels small, because her strength was childlike trust in God, and God made her do wonders. When you feel too small to make a difference, remember the cloistered girl who shook the world, not by being seen, but by loving in secret. And by God's will she became everything she wanted: a missionary, a martyr, and a warrior. Saint Thérèse of Lisieux, pray for us.